welcome to everybody. Yes. And welcome to today's session of Catalyst Talk. And today is, we would like to offer you a brief introduction into the different facets of our work at iASK in Kőszeg, Hungary, which is an institute that has been around since 2015 officially. However, there was also a civil organization which preceded the institute, and it was established in 1996. So basically, this year we are organizing our 30th International Summer University. So this kind of can illustrate the length of the time length or the period that we've been existing, and in different formats. So, and my role here is to give you a brief overview about the activities, the short history of the UNESCO chair, which was already established when the civil organization was doing its activities in 2011. So it is older. In actual fact, it is an older entity than our current institute itself. So in this sense, it's a kind of an interesting fun fact in this sense. Let me share my slides with you so you can see some illustration. Can you see?
Not yet. Yeah.
Now we see, Bella.
Yeah, now you see. And if I jump, can you also see it jumping?
Yes, it's jumping.
Okay, excellent. So yeah, I gave this great title, Forging Transdisciplinary Connections, to this introduction because of the main mission of our institute, and also of our UNESCO chair. And you can see this, since this was a rather young UNESCO chair in its day, it was still possible to establish it in such a wide thematic scope. So you can see that our UNESCO chair is in cultural heritage management and sustainability. So I have done a quick check last year about the chairs which have been established solely on the topic of cultural heritage, and there's around 200 or 100 and some chairs just on the topic of cultural heritage today. So at that time, back in 2011, and you can see the signing of the document in 2011, May 23rd. So basically, we were just celebrating the birthday a few days ago of the establishment of the UNESCO chair. Since UNESCO chairs need a university to vouch for the educational programs that the organization is running, we partnered up with the Corvinus University in Budapest. And so this is the then rector signing the document, and the director of the foundation, the civil organization, which is called Institute for Social and European Studies Foundation, signing the cooperation document for the UNESCO chair. And already in 2011, which was the 16th International Summer University, we had this kind of official inauguration of the UNESCO chair already in the program of the Summer University. I will also talk about the events that we run, but you will see that the International Summer Universities are kind of anchorage programs that we run on an annual basis since the 1990s. And this Anchorage event, this Anchorage program is kind of like a flagpole, if you will, for disseminating our activities, for engaging with students, researchers, academics, professionals, civil organizations, governmental bodies. So these are not just summer universities in its summer school meaning. So it's not just about education, but it's also about incubating further projects, solidifying cooperations, and creating discussion platforms between different social actors, stakeholders, and people.
Bella,
So,
please
yes.
try to put the slide in full page mode.
Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah. Now, can you see?
Not yet. So let's
It
double
takes-
click. Try double click.
Bella, go to diavetítés.
Yeah, I already did it, but I can see it. It's just you cannot see it somehow. I don't. Let me just stop sharing or share again, maybe. Can
Try
I
this.
try that?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about this mishap.
No, thank you, because it's so interesting. So we can also read.
Yeah, I really do hope. Can you see now?
Jó.
Now, yes.
Good.
Okay.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. So, and these are kind of now archival documents that we have that I pulled for this talk. So you can see the official document here on the right side, and on the left side you can see the announcement or the inauguration of the UNESCO chair in 2011. I myself have not been working in Kőszeg back then, because I was still a PhD student, but I joined 3 years later. Okay, now I'm trying to. Here we go. And in the framework of this cooperation, Corvinus University was the partner of our organization already from 2009 until 2015. And it was a very interesting initiative to start a postgraduate degree program with them on cultural heritage management and sustainability. So it was basically on the topic of the UNESCO chair, later established in 2011. And it was a postgraduate degree program which wanted to train well-rounded professionals, giving them an interdisciplinary skill set and knowledge set, and the goal was to produce these to train these well-rounded professionals who view cultural heritage as a functional system and who consider its protection or preservation equally important to its sustainability and viable adaptive utilization. So it aimed to kind of educate people with a complex view on cultural heritage. And it was also about the sustainability of cultural heritage items, built heritage, as well as immaterial heritage. And then, of course, on emerging sustainability issues, which were already recognized back then as to be bountiful. As you can see, from 2016 onwards, we partnered up with the University of Pannonia, which has its headquarters in about, well, an hour and a half, but in the western part of the country. So it's not in Budapest. And it's the university also inherited this postgraduate degree program. So they took over from Corvinus, the partnership. And so besides this postgraduate degree program, we continued organizing several of these flagship events or anchorage events, which kind of structure our annual activities and annual calendar. One of which is the International Summer University, and what Professor Grimas also have experienced with us is the International Craft Conference series, which we started organizing in 2015. And these are conferences which address topics on integrated regional development methodologies, case studies, interesting best practices. It's a discussion of comparative research projects and things like that on regional development, and also regional development issues that small and mid-sized cities in Central and Eastern Europe face in this era of great global transformations. So these conferences are also exhibiting this complex view about development as well as heritage questions. And oftentimes we do panels about historic cities and how to ensure monument conservation projects and how to finance the preservation of built heritage, for example, in viable ways through adaptive reuse, and questions and problems related to such topics. We also deal with issues of natural environment, about sustainable soil use and land degradation issues. So these are all very much kind of in the nodes of the network of issues that we address at these conferences. So these are always rather popular and well-attended conferences. And yeah, last year we had the 10th in the series. And then we have these European Blue Sky conferences, which are not directly connected to cultural heritage, but they are more connected to issues of international politics, international security systems, international organizations, and the challenges that they face in our current days and times. So these are usually analytical conferences, more analytical than prescriptive. However, invited speakers usually try to offer different sort of methodologies or possible solutions to different issues that would arise in today's polycrisis. Then we had a very widely attended conference in 2018, which was the Interpret Europe conference, and it was specifically devoted to heritage and identity. And many heritage interpreters, conservators, museologists, and historians, cultural studies people, ethnographers attended this conference. So it was an amazing, I think, 3-day event, and we discussed a lot of interesting case studies of cultural heritage interpretation and preservation. Then we also sometimes do video conferences, such as this one, and there we invite different experts from different continents. And for example, we had last year we had this intersections conference, and Tamás would know more about this one because he organized it and invited many very highly interesting academics and professionals in the field of cultural heritage preservation from around the globe. Then we sometimes do, I mean, not sometimes, we often do research projects, and this one was a notable example that I just picked, where we tried to kind of translate the sort of craft methodology, craft meaning this creative city, sustainable region program that we run at the Institute. And the point there is to try, in this project, was to try to kind of reposition touristically left behind regions or overlooked regions, and try to kind of unearth heritage items and also ways of treating heritage or viewing their own heritage from a different light, which would make them more well-functioning as a region, and also more brandable for tourism purposes. So you can see that we had partners from different countries and different parts of Europe, which all had their own issues about either they were formerly industrial and having regions like the one in Waterford, Ireland, they were kind of facing the challenge of how to reposition their local economy and rebrand themselves from an industrial to a post-industrial region. Then we had the more affluent 's-Hertogenbosch city in Holland, where their problem was not really the lack of tourism there, but the fact that they were kind of a one-track place, and they wanted to kind of become more multi-functional, multi-focused, and they were experimenting with different ways of presenting what the heritage that they had. And also we had Veneto as a partner. We had which was a very interesting case study, because Veneto is kind of suffering from being a second-rank touristic region, because everybody goes to Venice, which is already suffering from crowded, over tourism. And Veneto, which is only a few kilometers east, is struggling with the lack of tourism, and so they wanted to have a new strategy for the city, for their own repositioning. But we had other partners as well, and we were trying on a case by case basis to tackle challenges together. Ever since 2019, we became a partner in the UNESCO Most series, kind of, and we started organizing UNESCO Most schools in Kőszeg, which, I mean, this is in partnership with UNESCO Paris, and these schools they represent a specific genre of non-formal education. These are usually week-long events that we organize always as winter schools, so late February, and the point there is to strengthen collective learning through participant inclusion. So the way we organize these schools is that we always make them highly interactive, lots of workshops, lots of interactive activities, and lots of interaction among the participants. We also keep in mind the UNESCO's mission to do global south to north knowledge exchange and knowledge sharing. So we always have not just students from the global south, but also experts teaching us. And these are some of the topics that we organize these winter schools on, and we always try to make them address some sort of social issue or political issue, and use the angle of culture heritage somehow to tackle these issues and challenges. So you can see we had one on citizenship, and also we talked about cultural citizenship at that winter school a lot. Then we had one on trust and social trust. We had one on specifically intercultural heritage and the complexity of sustainability. We had one on post-truth society. We had one on resilience. And we also had this one, this new Space Odyssey was on not space as in outer space, but it was on different spaces, social, cultural, and creative spaces, which were under strain by political and economic pressures currently. And we were trying to figure out kind of ways of community building and to overcome challenges through forging creative communities and different creative solutions for communities. Well, the European Capital of Culture was a big project that we took part in now as an institute, as Institute of Advanced Studies, and we kind of played a role as a strategic partner in the Capital of Culture program year of 2023, which was in Veszprém, where the University of Pannonia is seated. So we obviously collaborate collaborated throughout the program year and the years preceding the program year with the European Capital of Culture project. And so we kind of transported some of our events to Veszprém that year. And so did we do with the UNESCO Most School. We did it with the craft conferences. And we had several interesting research projects that we conducted throughout the program year. For example, a complex micro-regional research project in the surrounding hilly region north of Veszprém, for example, which was about unearthing culture heritage items in left behind villages, and also figuring out with the locals how to cooperate with each other and how to forge cooperative connections with each other more effectively, and restructure their development strategies and tourism strategies based on culture. And also we had other projects, like we have the Talking Houses project, which deals with unearthing silenced or unknown local stories, and uses the methodology of storytelling to kind of build a shared sense of local past and heritage. We also are involved in urban regeneration and renewal. So both the Institute for Social and European Studies Foundation and the Institute of Advanced Studies Kőszeg, with the UNESCO chair, we have this initiative to renew the inner city center and some of the important historic monuments in Kőszeg, and renewing them with in such a way where we already reposition their functions and try to work out viable strategies for their management. So, and we even won this Viazzi Prix d'Excellence prize for this kind of integrated approach in urban renewal. And now here I put the Resilient Hands platform in here because we consider it as an important partnership, and we are always representing ourselves at the annual events in Udine, and we are planning to work together on different projects where we can kind of add to the competence set that is required for the specific project. So we consider it an important cooperation, not because we also work on resilience, and we work on resilient communities and potentials and criteria for making communities resilient, but we also consider it important to connect our research to different other fields of research which are also on resilience. So disaster risk mitigation or environmental risk mitigation are also issues that cannot be in our view, cannot be independently examined of social processes and cultural patterns in certain contexts. So, and here's your map of participants, and we are over there, one of the green dots, and the Udine chart I put here. And so with this, I thank you for your attention. We are also organizing a lot of cultural events, not only academic events, because it is kind of a conviction that community building can only happen through public outreach programs and cultural events. So we are trying to somehow forge connection with the city, with the people of the city where we are, and interact with them through different projects and events. And that is why we think it's very important. Besides art being an important element of research and academic and scholarly insights. So yes, thank you for your attention, and I hope if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Okay, thank you, Bella. Petra, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you so much. And I just wanted to, and thank you, Bella, for this great introduction on the activities of your chair. That was really, really interesting. And show also your approach that is interdisciplinary, considering also I found very interesting this community involvement, very important. And if I may have a question for you, but maybe we can keep it for later, is also numbers of students involved in these great activities you have. But I just wanted to thank you, because I think your activities are great within this Resilience Catalyst series, because our goal is to present the support, the activities of the different UNESCO chairs related to disaster risk reduction and resilience in working on projects that enhance resilience. So thank you already for introducing the Resilience Program. That is the program where this initiative is developed. And we really want to explore the role of the chairs, considering, as you showed in your slides, actually, the complex interplay between education on one side, science, culture, that is one of the main key focus of your chairs, but how these three pillars, that are the three UNESCO pillars, can work together and must work together for transforming governance, for building a sustainable and resilient future to disasters, obviously, but to all the features that we will meet. So really thank you for this introduction, and just a very short information about the Resilience Catalyst. Lucille, who is participating now also, Lucille Anglais, put in the chat the link where you can access all the meetings we already had on this series. This is the sixth talk, we called them, because the goal is to share experiences, to collect different experiences, as you're doing in your chair activities, and share these experiences among all the chairs, and share good practices about this. So we already had the presentations from the UNESCO Chair on Disaster Risk Reduction and Resilience of Professor Dayala, on the UNESCO Chair on Water, Energy and Disaster Management for Sustainable Development from Professor Tachikawa at the Kyoto University, the UNESCO Chair on Water-Related Disaster Risk Reduction by Professor Mikos, the UNESCO Chair on Informatics and Multi-Hazard Risk Reduction, sorry, I'm reading because there are many, from Professor Kia Liang, and the last one was the UNESCO Chair on Urban Resilience from Professor Tolling in Denmark. So these UNESCO chairs are very different backgrounds, but they all focus on building resilience, and all together we can share experiences and work for these common goals. So many thanks for your first presentation, and I really want to listen all the other presentations now, and thank you for this. And as I mentioned, maybe we can have a discussion at the end, a short discussion at the end of all the presentation, or I don't know if you prefer to have a very short discussion in the middle of the presentation. So up to you to decide how do you want to organize this.
Yeah, maybe let's try at the end. Let's hear everybody first, and then we can move on to kind of a freestyle discussion. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. I think next up is Szabolcs.
Yes, thank you very much. Then I try to share my.
In the meantime, let me introduce Szabolcs Morvai. He is our researcher at this said craft research program, and he personally has visited the Udine last fall, and he is an economist by training and a regionalist. So, and he co-authored the book culture-based urban development. And he is a very valuable member of our Kőszeg team. So, Szabolcs, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. My question is, do you see my presentation?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we see, but try
Now?
to make the full screen version.
Now you see the full
No,
version? No?
Not
it's a
yet.
draft.
Now?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Probably you have to first not share it and do the whole thing. Do the full page first in your computer and then upload it.
Okay, I try. Maybe now.
No, not yet.
Oh.
Szabolcs, try sharing the full screen version. You first disconnect share, and
Okay.
then you just share the full screen version.
Where can I? I can.
When you select, you press share, and then you have to select the full screen version. That's how I did it.
Mm-hmm. You see the presentation, yes?
Yes.
Yes, we see.
That we see.
But not the full screen.
No.
No, yes, now?
Not yet.
Mm. Do you see the jump?
Yes.
Yes, we see.
What do you say when I try this one? Because not so important keywords. You see just
Okay.
keywords in my. Okay.
We do see the letters. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Then can I start?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So as Bella mentioned, we deal with our institute. We deal with the European Capital of Culture. Now we investigate the project of Veszprém, but not just Veszprém was European capital of culture in our macro region in Central and Eastern Europe, but several other cities. And therefore, I would like to speak about the European capitals, in plural, of culture in Central and Eastern Europe, and results of these projects. So you know that the European Capital of Culture project is an excellent and the most successful cultural initiative of the European Union. This program was realized in several cities in Central and Eastern Europe until 2023, and in 2023 Veszprém and Timisoara joined to the former European capitals of culture in our macro region. In these cities, the project brought renewal, reputation, and cultural recovery. And the first ECOC, that is European Capitals of Culture, was Sibiu in Central and Eastern Europe in 2007. And this was followed by Vilnius and Pécs, the Hungarian city, in 2010. And then Tallinn, Maribor, Košice, Riga, Plzeň, and Wrocław, and in 2023, Veszprém and Timisoara. So it is an exciting question, what kind of impacts were generated by the program in these cities, what kind of benefits were arisen of the realized project, and did this ECOC initiative contribute to the development of the cities? So this is our research question. But besides this, it is important to know at the same time that the project requires significant resources, which lay the responsibility on cities to be able to produce long-term results in the development of the cities. So what I would like to highlight in this presentation is the following: the visions of cities based on the ECOC projects and the concrete outcomes, the concrete results of the ECOC projects. I would like to compare the difficulties of the projects and a little bit analyze the budget of the program and the numbers of visitors and some indicators. But I have to say at the beginning that I think regardless the evaluation of the effectiveness, the initiative, this cultural initiative will never be unsuccessful in any cities, because since the smallest effort for culture should be highly appreciated. So just a little background or the road of this cultural initiative we have to find in the European political attention. Over the past decades, the urban development in the European Union has been given high priority to the development of the cities. The documents of EU regarding spatial development have strong urban focus, as their organizational, cultural, scientific, and economic potential is indisputable in the European spatial structure. So this European political attention also facilitated the extensive emergence of different cultural and creative strategies. And the cultural strategies put the focus first on tourism and boast of consumption, and moreover try to develop the picture and the image of the cities by forming big, iconic cultural projects, artistic districts, and so on. And after the 1990s, the role of human capital and innovation in urban growth was increasingly recognized, and the political discourses turned to traditionally distinct art spheres and media activities. And in this progress, the cultural mega events, as the European Capital of Culture projects, have proven excellent catalyst for the cultural-based urban, culture-based regional development. So let's see the European Capital of Culture initiatives. These projects was initiated by the European Commission and was launched in 1985 as one of the first European Union's cultural programs. The program series was designed by the aim that the common history and cultural values could become conscious for the European Union member states, and by the introduction of these values, bring the people of the member states closer to each other. By possessing the ECOC title, each cities as cultural capitals celebrate their own cultural values through a whole year. The ECOC was born in a new direction of the Union's cultural policy, which focuses on the realization of European integration and identity building, not just from the perspective of economy and politics, but also from the perspective from culture. The cities which gave home to projects formulated several variations of visions and objectives during the years. In the urban competition for the title, persistent moments and development elements have always been repeated in the applications for the title, such as the development of cultural infrastructure, urban revitalization, enhancing of cultural life, and the relief of poverty by increasing the employment and strengthening tourism. During the years, it has become clear that being a European capital of culture offers an invaluable marketing opportunity for cities to improve their image. It secures the possibility to enhance discourse between different authorities, actors, urban residents, in order to come to a joint aim. Besides these, cities use culture and cultural heritage and arts as a framework to express their specification. It should be highlighted that the ECO project is held as one of the most successful cultural projects which has ever been launched in the European Union. What about in Central and Eastern Europe? Although the program series was started in 1985, the cities of Central and Eastern European countries could possess the title just from 2007, and there were 9 realized eco projects in our macro region until 2023. You know that Central and Eastern Europe is a European macro region of which countries have common features regarding their history and their economic, commercial, and historical cultural relations are interweaved. The countries of this region are attributed by similar socialist political structure before the regime change. This was restructured at the same time, and moreover, these countries joined the European Union almost at the same time. As the Central and Eastern European macro region has been through significant changes in the last few decades, then the ECO project has also gone through development in its long history. The cultural initiative was launched with the aim of the exploration and introduction of the European cultural diversity. But, however, the program has gained more and more objectives through the years. The project took over the newest visions and the desires from the cities, which also appeared in the application of the cities. More and more aspects of culture have been revealed. For example, the intellectual and built cultural heritage, the relation of present monumental environment and culture, diversity, meeting of cultures, and their interaction. The diverse art branches have appeared in the programs jointly, based on which novel correlations have been formed. During the project years, the art left its conventional spaces and occupied urban public spaces, special buildings, neglected places, and complexes. Symbiosis was developed between culture and cities, based on which the settlements and their cultural institutions and their services were renewed, revived. The urban citizens turned to culture in different ways. They become more open and more receptive. The communities were not passive consumers of culture, but its active participants. Thus, the programs were embedded in urban structures, resulting in long-term durable effect for cities. And among others, discussions have been raised in professional and artistic cycles in form of consultation, communication forums, not just local, but also national and international communities and experts have been involved in discourses which were about culture, its role, and its ability to form the cities and communities. I think it's very exciting, very interesting what kind of visions and objectives formulated by the cities in Central and Eastern Europe. What kind of objectives can we reach based on culture and based on the European Capital of Culture projects. I would like just a few sentences highlighted. For example, CBU wanted to introduce the cultural identity and diversity to Europe and wanted to initiate cooperation in European dimension. CBU also wanted to accelerate the process of the European integration, want to become attractive on regional, national, and also international levels, wanted to strengthen the pride and awareness of its own residents toward its cultural values. Vilnius wanted to strengthen its international reputation and position in such a city picture, which is an ambitious, vigorous, and creative cultural center. Wanted to create a new cultural identity where culture is the driver of communication, relevant part of everyday life, and the source of pride. Page was the Hungarian European Capital of Culture in 2010 and wanted to be a cultural dynamic metropolitan and wanted to activate residents and to ensure its industrial heritage, notably the Zsolnai industrial heritage for culture, and wanted to plan investment in artistic institutions, wanted to develop creative economy and became a creative model to Europe. Tallinn wanted to build an urban environment which stimulates the creative activity and initiatives of the residents and wanted to improve cultural communication between artists and artists from other countries. Maribor, just a few keywords: new workplaces, sustainable development, economic development, competitiveness, wanted to improve the accessibility to cultural goods, for example, and cooperation between the civil and political sphere. Košice wanted to develop touristic supply, improve the image of its institution and of its events, and wanted to become significant for Europe. Riga wanted to increase its cultural supply, also extend its profile, and wanted to become a key destination for tourism and cultural actors. Pilsen wanted to strengthen its supply and change to a European cultural metropolis from a rural city. And finally, Wrocław aim was the social development, which was supported also by the strengthening of public transit, and wanted to offer more space and more possibilities for voluntary activities. So we can see a lot of vision and a lot of objectives which can be reached based on culture. And the results of the realized projects, the concrete outcome was the following. The cities under investigation here are divided into 3 groups. The classification is based on the place of cities in the city hierarchy, which I think is a key factor in the success of the eco projects. The 3 groups are the group of capitals, the group of secondary centers, and finally the group of regional centers. The group also serve as a models because they provide a different set of conditions for cultural mega events like the European Capital of Culture. And you can see that the capitals of Baltic countries, Vilnius, Tallinn, and Riga, passes institutional networks and covering national functions, formed not just their own, but the country's identity, had high political and lobby power. The developments and the programs had impact on the whole countries, since the decision makers had national authorities. Since these cities are capitals, not just the cities were moved to European dimension, but also the countries. Therefore, the projects got remarkable support. Maribor and Košice are secondary centers, and they are the second strongest and second most populous cities in Slovenia and Slovakia. In the ex-post evaluations, evaluation mentions can be found about the emergence of new functions of cities and development of new institutions within this program. The program supply was moderate than in the case of capitals, and their impacts, image formation, tourism generation, the involvement of cooperation appeared indirectly. But the stronger foundation of their cultural basis was carried out successfully. And finally, the Sibiu, Pécs, Plzeň, and Wrocław are regional centers where the eco projects are considered not fully successful. Several unfavorable effects and mechanisms come to the fore. New establishments were built in the framework of infrastructural investments. However, continuous time delays occurred in the implementation and opening for public. These cities did not calculate with the task of continuous functioning and maintaining of buildings. This made the functioning of cities difficult regarding costs, but also relation of lack of utilization and losing of function after the program years. The program years exceeded both in their nature and volume the capacity of local organizing communities. The control of the programs did not occur in every case totally. The cultural supply and the cultural demand haven't always matched each other. This disharmony appeared in many aspects. The value system and the cultural needs of local communities were different in several segments than the cultural supply which was elaborated for the program year. The involvement of local actors into the programs, their professional, financial, and organization supportive role were not totally prevailed. And the urban milieu was continuously used by the projects, which above a certain limit rather disturbed the residents than affect them pleasurably. And closer to the end my presentation, I would like to show some parameters and project indicators. This table illustrates the different budget volumes of the projects and the main attributes of the examined cities. And maybe the number of visitors you can see here in the table. For example, Wrocław, 5.2 billion visitors, or Maribor, 3.1 billion visitors come to the city in the years of the eco projects. The number of visitors as an indicator is the quasi-success index of an eco programs, since it shows how popular was the eco project of the given city, how they could sell it, how many people spread the excitement of the cities, and so on. And finally, I would like to show a very interesting indicator, the number of visitors per unit amount, per 1 million euro in the case of examined cities. This figure shows the data which express how many visitors have been brought by 1 million euro budget sum as unit to the cities. And based on this figure, it can be seen that the city of Tallinn could attract the most visitors for ECO program from 1 million euro. So based on the investment in culture, financing cultural events, and spending on advertisement. So it's also a very, very interesting question. And Pécs was the Hungarian city, the worst in these terms. And as a conclusion, I would like to say that from 2007, 9 Central and Eastern European cities could take part in Europe's great cultural programs until 2023. Which caused that these cities launched long-term urban development path, and they introduced their own values. The cities explored the shortages, depraved spaces, which were filled by cultural functions, life, and culture was put back to the heart of their citizens. All these processes were supported by significant resources in the examined cities. Several results were realized from this budget. Besides the generated urban development elements in the framework of the project, the volume of visitors means a direct success indicator of the program. Regarding this factor and other facts, some cities have outstanding results of own eco-cultural mega events. And based on the ex post evaluation of these cities, we can say that the success of the European capitals of culture in this macro region was influenced by the position of the cities in the city hierarchy. The capitals of Baltic countries achieved the best results in terms of urban development processes and number of visitors, and the secondary centers, Maribor and Košice, reached slightly more moderate results, and the regional centers, Sibiu, Pécs, Pécs, and Wrocław, the eco projects are considered not fully successful. Several unfavorable effects and mechanisms come to the fore, but in spite of this, I should say, and as a final message, that the smallest effort for culture should be highly appreciated. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We have 25 minutes left. So, Tamás, it's your turn.
I try to do my best. Hello. Can you see? Not yet.
No.
Let's try. This one. And now? Still not yet?
No.
No.
We don't see.
Oh, are we on time or we are not?
And now? You can see? Hello?
Yes.
Yes,
We do see.
And the full screen or not yet?
Not yet full screen.
Oh. And now? Still not?
Mm-mm.
Okay.
It's okay.
I think that we can survive the size of the letters, Tamás. So
Okay,
go ahead.
sorry about that.
Yes.
I tell you what. So my topic is thank you very much for the possibility to speak about this this is the built heritage at the base of communities' resilience. And some of you already know about my approach to this topic. Let's try to. The change is visible. Hello.
No.
No.
Oh my goodness. Even worse. Yeah.
Well, this is the fate of Zoom.
Yeah,
It's
always a challenge.
Recurring problem with the presentations.
No. Yeah. And now you can see the second slide.
So we can see the second slide, yes.
Okay, so it is about this is the menu about the content, and I don't read out, but I start because the time is running. So let's start with the resilience very shortly, and how to change. Yeah, this is very shortly. All of us, you know what it means exactly, but I want to attire your attention that the last row, this is my translation from English to English. So resilience is ability to self-identically renew. And like this toy you can see here on the picture. And also another point is when we are speaking about the resilience, the built heritage, we never should forget that not only historic monuments are important, but each and every kind of heritage, but they are not equal. So all monuments are cultural heritage, but not all cultural heritage elements are historic monuments. It's in a way it could be important. And now the part of my main message is that cultural heritage is a basis for resilience, a reserve for the regeneration of historic cities. This is something which is supporting the resilience of communities. And one of the most pertinent definition is, a sustainable network of physical systems and human communities capable of managing extreme events during disaster. Both must be able to survive and function under extreme stresses. This is something important. And this is even the expression and the approaches came from a biological background. So in the same way that biological diversity increases the resilience of natural systems, cultural diversity has the capacity to increase the resilience of social systems. The maintenance of cultural diversity into the future and the knowledge, innovations, and outlook which it offers increase the capacity of human systems to adapt and cope with change. And the green sentence is, in order to produce shock, it is indispensable to keep root. So the cultural heritage in this way has to be seen as the most important root. And you can see here also this sentence that print tree turns green. And cultural diversity and globalization. So this is also has to be done something with resilience. I don't want to enter into detail. I really hope that you know this initiative by Europa Nostra, which is just dealing with the as a fourth pillar for sustainable development, the cultural heritage. It is not only a pillar for cultural or sustainable development, but also a pillar of resilience, the cultural heritage. And this is, as a key component of cultural diversity, is a critical consideration for any strategy to build the resilience of communities. Resilience applies to both people and the built and natural environment, and it is shaped by both physical and social factors. However, resilience is not floating in the air, but has an attachment, a base, and built heritage in its physical existence, its place, its relationships, its form and its content is a key element of this base for resilience. The physical elements of the cultural heritage of historical cities determine their resilience not only through their physical attributes and parameters, but also through the intangible components which they carry or represent. And particularly important in this respect is the traditional land use by the historical town and similarly traditional connections between the town and its vicinity. This is the famous craft program which was mentioned already by Bella. And you can see here that some highlighted the most important element of this statement, that physical and intangible components are equally important. And let's have a look what is about the resilience. So these physical components, the characteristics are important. Scale and dimension of heritage, materials, colors used, human presence, shapes and spatial organization, and spatial communication like organization of cities. And as for an example for intangible component, I want to show you this example from Telch, from Czechia, which is, I don't want that in detail, but this is this iron line incorporated or fixed on the stone frame of the main entrance of the town hall in Telch. This plays a very important role in the this root or this resilience, something and harmony and identity basing the element, because you can see at the corner top right a small picture on the city, and each and every plot and every element of the city was created using this measurement, this fathom of local measurement tool in the city. So this is not really present, but it's omnipresent at the same time in the city. And about the identity issues, this is another element which is really connected with community's resilience. The story is quite sad story, because this city, this village in Hungary was inhabited by German speaking ethnic citizens before the Second World War, and after the war, the citizens were just dislocated from Hungary, but they still kept this traditional form of stone frame of gates, and you can see this memorial after the political changes. They erected this commemoration for the former German-speaking citizens, and they're still using the same form as a connection with the tradition and the past. And this is also connected with resilience, the long-lasting tradition of the existence of a city with special attributes. For example, productions are special, or vocations like political center or religious center, or border guard towns, or pilgrimage route towns, or ports, and so on. And of course, it's also important when a city bears importance for national identity. We have heard that some minutes ago by Szabolcs that capital cities in Baltic countries are so important. And the other point is, which is largely connected with the built heritage, the power of the place, and this Bura Charter from Australia started to deal with firstly, and this also a kind of determination, which is also important as a route for the resilience, geomorphological determination nearby water, conservation potential, communication, transport capacity, raw material disposals, agriculture production potential, and so on and so on. And on the picture you can see the Elizabeth Bridge or Erzsébet híd in Budapest, just after the blown up in the Second World War, and the rebuilt in a new form, a new shape at the same place, because the place is so important, determined by the shape of the Danube and the position in the city. And another example on the Genius Loci, or Génie du lieu en français. Alors, sorry, I go back to English. So this is a small city from the former Eastern Prussia, which became a part of Poland, and it was totally demolished mostly after the Second World War, because the materials, bricks and so was took from the city and transported to Warsaw in order to be material for re-erection or reconstruction of the old city of Warsaw. But afterward, it was almost an empty place. But this lady, the head conservationist, Maria Lubowska-Hoffmann, started with a new program using the original parcels and the division of the city as a former Hanseatic city, but the architecture is totally new. So this is a contemporary re-erection. It's called retroversion of the city, just to show that the roots, the existing traditional elements, even the ethnic change took place, is still so important for this community. And of course, I already mentioned the tangible and intangible components. There are some other important elements or components, like sacred or holy places, iconic points or buildings, sites of national historical significance, or resting place of ancestors like cemeteries. And just to show after this the same, and you can see here just some explanation. So you can see here the before and after, and the Daibutsu, this Japanese shrine in Nara. It is also a reconstruction after a fire. Smaller, but the same place is okay. And Holo, you know, maybe Holo, a small city in Hungary, it also was burned down in the beginning of the 20th century. So today it is a total, let's say, renew on the same plot, same place, and you can see here also the rebuilt old bridge in Mostar, and the royal palace in Warsaw. And the right bottom picture is from Sicily, from Noto Valley, and this is also an excellent, precious heritage site after an earthquake, a renaissance of those towns and villages after, and this is also a sign, an example of importance of the place. And yes, I think what I mentioned, the importance of so-called tangible and intangible things, like invisible lines of the former cadastral structure. I show you here the map of Kőszeg, and you can see that the feature and the importance of shapes and the locations of the parcels and plots. And I just mentioned that one of the partially intangible, partially tangible elements, the toponyms, which are sometimes just only the names are just keeping the tradition or the memory of some places. And just for a while, I'll show you this interesting small publication for not only for children to show the development, an imaginary city, not a real one, imaginary city from the early times on until the end of the Middle Ages, and just to show this elements which are always there, but with additions that just they're used as roads for the new additions. And just running closing to the end, I want to show you that these, as I mentioned, not only historic monuments, but all built heritage elements are important. More and more recognize the importance of so-called integrated development, integrated approach to the heritage, which means that existing one, it is a source of inspiration and creativity, and not instead of existing, but just completing existing, goes on the development of historic cities. And just one more example about the power of places and the heritage, which is also a kind of shared heritage, because the changes are just dramatically or drastic. This is the example of Kazimierz, part of Krakow in Poland, which was very terribly, how to say, touched upon by the Holocaust, and the local Jewish citizens just disappeared. But today, after a new renaissance of this part of the city, Kazimierz still alive, even better and better, not only because it's touristic, but also just keeping the Jewish cultural roots, and even though the community is not exactly the same, but the cultural heritage is a part of this kind of resilience of this city. And go back to this approach, or this metaphor of a living organism and the communities and cities. So the importance that without community, cities are not really cities, or heritage places are not really heritage places. They are only somehow the museum object or objects for archaeology, because the intangible dimension, which is based on the tangible one, it is the most important basis for resilient communities. And I do believe that's all. Sorry for running so fast. I just wanted to end with this picture of the synagogue in Kőszeg, which is also at the same time a very sorry, but a very, how to say, encouraging story. After many decades being in ruin, today it's a living place for iASK and for Kőszeg and for culture. Thank you very much for attention. Sorry again for running so fast.
Thank you, Tamás, and welcome our latecomers, Attila and Dimitar. And Enrico could successfully come back. So I will be the final speaker today, hopefully without problems with my presentation. So how about the screen?
We see, you can see.
We see.
And how about the jump?
What?
The jump. Do you see the jump?
We don't see the. Yeah. No.
Okay.
No.
So the when we are on full screen, we are not able to jump. Oh my goodness. Okay. So now?
Yes.
Okay.
Now good.
Okay. So to be able to have a few minutes for a discussion, I will be really skeleton-like, just comment my slides. My talk is about the so-called cultural micro-heritage. It's it's not a popular phenomenon. What does it mean? You all know the famous GLAM world galleries, libraries, archives, and museums, the megafauna of cultural heritage. If we are thinking in a pyramid, it is the top of the heritage pyramid. However, the body of this pyramid is the so-called cultural micro-heritage. Everything which is outside of this institutional territories or realms, it's the reality of individuals, families, communities, the locals. However, there is a strong stream between these two universes. The materials, the objects, the knowledge is always coming from the cultural microheritage when it is inserted into somewhere in the system of GLAM world. If you are talking about tangible cultural microheritage objects, you can easily identify a lot of important features and parts of this world. I call the shoebox document descripting to the family memory world. There are a lot of private collections. These are the artifacts within the cultural microheritage. Tamás was talking about the built heritage, but there are a lot of small part of the built heritage. And of course, there are natural microheritage objects under the shadow of the great national parks and botanic gardens and World Heritage sites and so on. They are all important. As the fifth category, the intangible microheritage, which also has a lot of components, including including everything around language, indigenous knowledge, the nomenclature of the natural and built environment, every piece of family histories, local traditions, rites, beliefs, folk tales are also part of this intangible heritage. And now you can see in a comparative way what is the big the set of big differences between the GLAM-based traditional cultural heritage and the cultural microheritage. We all see the civic nature of cultural microheritage. It's more endangered nature because the loss of microheritage objects and the loss of metadata about these objects. The big problem is the lack of intergenerational awareness, while in the GLAM world, it's somehow institutionally and financially secured. However, when cultural heritage is mainly about the past or re-attracting the past, the cultural microheritage is not only about the past, but the past and the present and the future. And that's why it can be extremely important when we are talking about its connections with resilience in local environment. But what is extremely important is that I was talking about microheritage objects, but they are part of a big cultural ecosystem. So the pillars or types or genres of microheritage fields are in strong interconnection. It's a very entangled world. Somehow we are not able to find all the channels between the different objects. But it is important to know that when we are dealing with an object or we are managing an object, we always reveal this kind of contextual or network-like universe of our heritage. And what is also important that there are four horsemen of a potential microheritage apocalypse. Somehow we're talking about it. Climate change is dangerous because there are a lot of physical destruction of microheritage objects. The so-called heritage capitalism, prior it was heritage colonialism, which resulted to cut the metadata from the place of origins of these objects, and now the objects and the knowledge about the objects are separate. The built microheritage is vanishing from day by day, and where the legal protection is not enough, this process is always dominated by market forces and values instead of a broader cultural arena. And what is also a high challenge is that the safeguarding, the restoration of these materials are sometimes very expensive. It's not an easy way to safeguard an old photo negative or an old 8mm film. So there are a lot of problems. However, this arena, the cultural microheritage and the managing cultural microheritage or managing cultural microheritage through crowdsourcing as citizen science or citizen activity project, combining even the schools as places of knowledge reproduction about the local heritage. So now on the left side, I collected the different special types of activity. What can we do with microheritage objects? Starting with the discovery, the research about them, the collection or safeguarding of them. The digitization is an extremely important part of a value chain. However, the classification, generating metadata, the description is also crucial. When we would like to use somehow this heritage for touristic or other purposes, it's important to disseminate, to find the channels to the public education. And finally, a question of questions is how to be able to reuse it or reuse them adaptively. And now you can see on the right side, as I call resili-enhance momentum, the role of these activities to foster the resilience in a given community or a settlement. Taking part in this project provides engaged participation in mission-driven projects, which is very, very strong psychological force. It deepens value awareness, supports multiplication and reproduction of local knowledge, and invigorating local identity. The affection is stronger and the attachment is stronger to the place and the community. There is a special point. I call it the cultural jewel crown of local resilience. It is the role professional amateur artists and artistic groups, companies, are playing in fostering resilience. So on the left, you can see some typical professional, amateur, pro-am artistic fields. And from this perspective, a gastro-cultural club is also an artistic one, like the learning about traditional craftsmanship, to be able to do traditional craftsmanship. So there are a lot of other types of professional amateur artists, but the impact of these groups and companies are almost the same. They generate individual benefits, and all these kind of benefits are extremely important. It's about self building, flow generating, value creating. It generates feeling of belonging, a human touch, supports determination, provides purpose, gives motivation for the participants, and these features are very important in a member's life. So when we are talking about diminishing communities or shrinking cities, it's always a decision to go or not to go. And when a living decision is made or is considered, participants of these companies always have a double argument, because leaving the cities always means to leaving this company, this supporting micro community, and somehow it's a very, very strong argument not to leave and find a way to join or to connect the value chains in a virtual way, in a region or macro region. So concluding, I just formulated a simple thesis that the collective curation of cultural microheritage and a vibrant, colorful, mass professional amateur life can strengthen the resilience of the city in a multiple way. Thank you very much.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So now, Petra, please facilitate the last few minutes.
Yes, thank you. You are running out of time, but I will start with the many compliments for your presentations, which show all these intercorrelations of your activities, of your chair activities. And what I get is that you proved that in our era, characterized by these very rapid and social changes and this very complex new normality we are facing, you showed that the importance of cultural heritage, that is more than a legacy of the past. So, but it's really a living resource that we must use in order to build these resilient communities, and that is essential in order to look forward for a sustainable future. It's the basis, as Professor Thomas mentioned in this slide. This is the main root on which we must build in order to build this future, this resilient future for our communities. And your experiences, the experiences of your chair, also demonstrated this importance of interdisciplinary collaboration, of education, of community engagement in making heritage relevant to face these challenges we are dealing with. I have a question for you, or a point of debate, because in many cases we see that education activities are developing in silos, so divided in disciplines. However, and this is my question, do your students, high-level students, sorry, grasp the importance of adopting a systemic systemic approach in order to address the complex challenges of the world. So in your students' engagement activities, do you have the chance to see how the students catch this importance? And a question for this, maybe question was more for Isabella, related to their activities. And I have a question, a curiosity for Professor Laszlo. I found really interesting the importance of the micro heritage. And I also ask you if you try to involve students and community in preserving and using, especially using this micro heritage as a tool to enhance resilience. So if you have any feedback on this. So these are my questions just to launch a discussion.
Okay, thank you, Petra. First, to your question about students. Well, when we get the students for our summer and winter universities, they are mostly master's students at the minimum. So, and master's students or PhD students or young postdoc researchers is the kind of level that we usually get, because they are interested in such kind of horizontal approaches also. So of course, each student usually has their own fields of interest and disciplinary background, which is very much needed. However, they come to us to gain this kind of extra and to kind of listen to lectures and engage in workshops, through which they get some sort of insights into the disciplinary concepts and methodological toolkits of other fields. So usually students who have a strong affinity towards research work or policy work, they are the ones that find us usually, and they are interested in coming to our events. Usually we get around 25 to 40 very, very, very high quality students per event. So from all over the world. So usually the interactions are very much educational also for us.
So I think that this is one of the goals of your just building also this strong interaction. That's a plus of your that is also proven by the presentation of today. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so my reaction to your lovely questions is that there are a lot of good practices in Hungary or in the Danube Basin in Central Europe, separately from our research efforts on microheritage revitalization. So there are a lot of schools. So they could identify how important is their local traditions, and so perhaps in a northern Western Hungarian region around the Danube. So there is a joint effort to collect all the important fairy tales and local stories, and form a storybook about it, and write the storybook further using the stories of students. And this is a book which used in a lot of schools of this region, and so on. So I think there are a lot of best practices. However, the shadow of the problems and the challenges, the four horsemen, are always behind the local champions and local communities. We have also extremely interesting experiences from our fieldwork. Few years ago, Bella and me and others, we we had an interesting field work in a Bakony mountain. It's an upper Balaton area. It's a very traditional region in 4 small villages. And and our fieldwork was to rediscover and list the important microheritage objects which can serve somehow to redefine the future or an aspect of future life of these villages. And there were a lot of interesting experiences. So we didn't know anything about it before, but a former craftsman collected all the photo memories of the village. In one of the villages, he digitized everything. He collected all the metadata from the fellow citizens, wrote all the metadata to the back of the photo. He gave back the photos to the owners, but it was he who was able to build the photo memory heritage of the village itself. And as a big practice, the other villages started to somehow to follow this line to reproduce its success, or just one another and final example. As we discovered some interesting stories from the past, these 4 villages starting to make a joint theater production using this material as a raw material. And there was a scenario, a script, there was a dramaturg, and there was a very, very successful performance for the people of these 4 villages. So there are a lot of possibilities to mobilize this micro heritage. And now we are building a network with civil societies of the 4 countries in the Danube region. It's a network for microheritage preservation and reuse. And hopefully, sooner or later, we will be able to form a Creative Europe consortium with these participants.
Thank you. I don't know if there are other questions from the audience, but if I may, before I just wanted a curiosity from you, because you mentioned this very important tangible and intangible cultural heritage, and as our chair is dealing with disaster risk reduction, we understand that cultural heritage is very, very important for strengthening the community also during the recovery phase after a disaster. Have you, I remember the image that Professor Tamas showed from the bridge that followed, that was reconstructed after the flooding, but have you any experience of or studies about this importance of tangible and intangible cultural heritage in recovering or after a disaster? I don't know to whom address this question, but
Tomáš?
That's right. So also as a disaster in our country, which are in the bottom of the Carpathian Basin, so the floods are coming sometimes quite strong. And in the upper Tisza region, we had floods many times already in the 2000 years. And after the flood, it was a strong decision to keep the ruins or to reconstruct or to rebuild villages, or to create something which is totally different from villages. And finally, in this context, the architects, local and many other places from capital city Budapest, from other parts of the country, started to cooperate with locals. I'm sorry, I'm not really prepared to show you some pictures, but villages are really re-erected as villages using the traditional forms and solutions as DNA of new ones, but not making copies. So it's really like in Noto Valley, I do believe, but of course the time is different. So the new re-erected buildings are contemporary buildings with contemporary comfort installations and so on. But finally, the resilient part of the thing is that the parcels and the volumes of the buildings are quite strongly traditional. So this is an interesting experience. And after the floods, they started to as much as possible to gather fragments and elements, and just try to incorporate the old ones into the new ones. So maybe it's one of the examples. It's not only one village. It is a better region. I don't know, 5 or 6 villages. I don't know.
Thank you.
Can I also add something? There's also, as a part of the European Capital of Culture 2023, there were many projects, micro-regional projects around water and around the issues of climate change, and how, you know, water, like Brooks and also the Lake Balaton is undergoing drastic changes, and also the surrounding regions are there are predictions about what sort of desertification might happen and things like that. So there have been a lot of projects around the issue of water and drying out lands, and how local communities can prepare for this creatively, and how awareness can be raised about issues related to drying out waters, and how what people could do for the waters and the cultivation of waters, because it is a part of their natural heritage. So this kind of it's heritage, but it's also cultural, because it's locally relevant. It's part of the culture. It's got built elements to it. The water mills are still there, but it's also immaterial. So in this sense, there's been a lot of projects related to this issue. And then we have a researcher colleague who is also an artist, a design artist, and she does the sensory eco ethnography, and she is in the middle Tisa region, which is also drying out, and she spends ethnographic research, and she does participant observation and a lot of sensory walks with local shepherds and with local people who have sort of traditional knowledge about the region itself, and she kind of tries to have approaches to her own design work in using local knowledges and incorporating them in order to tackle climate risk related issues. So it's very creative projects, very innovative
Interesting
methods. So that's
And we can find these projects also on your pages, on your...
Yes, I think so. I have to check about this sensory walk thing, or the sensory ethnography. She's our colleague, so it's gotta be there. But it's a cooperative doctoral program with the University of Arts and Design in Budapest. So we are in close cooperation with them too.
Great.
Yeah. Unmute, Lottie.
Sure. Yes. So let me to propose a kind of final sentence. So what we're talking about in the last few minutes, it's about how to be pre-adaptive in the context of climate change or catastrophic risks and so on and so on. So how to be pre-adaptive using cultural heritage, or to be able to use cultural heritage elements or moments in a future set of resilience enhancement. And if you are interested in, it's a very, very challenging research question, and we can follow the discussion around this challenge later in any form.
And I think that one of the challenges, sorry for manipulating this, one of the challenges of today research is also how to integrate this cultural heritage approach with science-based approach, because they need integration. As you mentioned, you cannot build as it was, but you need to build better, maintaining, keeping the heritage, so the past as a root, but using science to build back better.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is extremely important because the development of cultural heritage is an emergent process, and the scientific intervention is always conscious, programmed, knowledge-based, evidence-based, and it's really a mystery how to combine these two in an effective way. Yes, totally agree.
I don't know if there are other questions, comments from the audience. I want to thank Dimitar for joining us. He's part of the Resilience group. So many thanks for joining these seminars. I think that these approaches are interesting also for your activities who are most developed on artificial intelligence. But in any case, also artificial intelligence must consider enjoying these approaches. So if there are no other questions, I suggest to close this. By the way, sorry, I forgot. Professor Grimas brought me. He is stuck in city center with the dean of the university. So he asked me to give you his greetings and sorry for not being here. But he will follow the recording of this meeting. Very interesting. And we are very interested and keen to collaborate with you. So many thanks for these really interesting presentations to all of you. Many thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much also.